The footage you just witnessed is the manner in which the Mavanalla area was submerged this evening due to a heavy downpour.
A very good evening and welcome to your primetime news. I'm Shin Silva.
And I'm Aishwarya Pinto. We have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you, but let's first take a look at your headlines.
Classified garbage collection program commences. War veterans demonstrate for the second consecutive day. Court issues 2 orders calling on them to vacate the area. COPE report on the Treasury bond scam handed over to the Attorney General. SLFP appoints fact-finding committee. The woman at the center of a political scandal threatening South Korea's president detained.
In your top story this evening, the fast organized by the National Force to protect the rights of war veterans continued for a second day today.
The fast commenced last morning, demanding a pension for the retired disabled war veterans of the 3 armed forces and the police with a service record of less than 12 years. They remained on the exit lane from Colombo on Olcott Mawata opposite the Fort Railway Station, engaging in their protest.
All MPs and ministers have cars and other vehicles. Can't we be given a benefit from the money used for that? They have to only pay 270 million rupees. They reach the top on our laurels. They go to parliament as MPs and ministers, serve for 5 years and then they retire with a pension. However, we have served for 10, 12 or even 8 years. We retired from the service because of the disabilities. Yet the government has failed to provide us with a pension.
As they were not given an answer to their issues as of this afternoon, the group restored to occupy the whole of Olcott Mawata, bringing traffic to a standstill opposite the Fort Railway Station. Several representatives of the disabled veterans were escorted to the Ministry of Defence, where they were presented with a proposal.
Though we are being given 150,000, we raise questions on what will be given to our families after our demise. We did not get a proper answer to that. Should we accept this?
Thereafter, the Fort Police announced a court order which called on the protesters to disperse. Protesters abided by the order and moved away from the location and arrived at the Presidential Secretariat in Fort, where they recommenced their protest. The Secretary of Defence and the Secretary to the President as well as other officials arrived at the location for a discussion.
If an MP serves for 5 years, he is given a pension. We are not trying to be them. However, you have decided these people who have sacrificed their limbs. We reject what is being mentioned. We want to propose the service pension. We have given the maximum that can be allocated as per the public service. This is an issue that was dragging on for years. We need to look at this in a more humane manner. The President intervened and spoke to the Cabinet and has taken this action not based on 5 years or 4 years. This is more than other public servants. Didn't the former Director General at the Presidential Secretariat take note of this when the circular was issued during the period of elections? This is not what was done during the election period. Please wait. This has been done in the best possible way. Nothing can be done beyond that. We have given the maximum that can be given through the public service. What can we do if we do not accept it? This has been made based on the consideration that you are war veterans.
The OIC of the Fort Police arrived once again with another court order demanding that the group disperse.
The Sri Lanka Army headquarters issued a media release over the issue this evening. The release notes that all administrative formalities related to pension payments of agitated disabled war heroes are being attended to and that steps are being taken to fulfill their demands by February 2017.
The press release reads that those disabled war heroes who have volunteered to retire before the due retirement day are paid the monthly salary in addition to the separate disability pension that they are drawing. It adds that President Maithripala Sirisena has directly approved the payment of the disability pension for the rest of their lives. Moreover, the press release goes on to note that all military hospitals continue to provide uninterrupted medical services to disabled war heroes and their family members.
A national classified garbage collection program will be in effect starting today. The program was inaugurated today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Based on a concept initiated by Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Faiz Mustafa, garbage will be collected separately as degradable and non-degradable. The garbage collected will be categorized as paper, cardboard, glass, plastic, polythene and carbonic waste. The program is expected to reduce the disposal of garbage in provincial council areas by nearly 50 to 60%.
During this process, we have to capitalize on the examples and projects of the developed countries in the world on creating a clean city, a clean country. So while thanking everyone who contributed to make this task a success, I make a kind request to all citizens of this country to render your fullest cooperation and commitment to make this initiative a success. This cannot be done without the assistance of the public, especially with the development that we intend on carrying out in the country. This situation is most likely to aggravate. Moreover, if we are to improve sectors like tourism, it is essential that we protect the environment. We instructed the 23 municipal councils not to accept garbage which have not been categorized as degradable and non-degradable. We have taken a decision to initiate this program with effect from today, the 1st of November. I strongly believe that by recycling our garbage, we will be able to reduce the amounts of garbage in our country. We can move into the solutions used by developed countries in the world.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, speaking at a media briefing today, made an announcement on the on-site report of the bank with regard to perpetual treasuries.
Well, there are two exercises which are underway. One is the on-site examination report on perpetual treasuries undertaken by the non-bank financial institutions department of the Central Bank, and that report was presented to the Monetary Board yesterday. The Monetary Board had a discussion on that report. It has requested various departments of the Central Bank to undertake more work in specific areas to enable the Monetary Board to take an informed decision as to what the Monetary Board feels should be done in relation to the findings of the on-site report. And the board will have another meeting on Friday when we will discuss this further. And certainly the commitment I sensed amongst the board members is that they would want to go where the evidence leads them.
Speaking further, the governor commented on the COPE report.
The COPE report, of course, is a part of obviously a parliamentary process. So Parliament and the government would need to decide what to do with that report. So that would be a separate exercise. And you know, we haven't seen the full COPE report as yet, the annexures, etc. When that comes out, I expect the Monetary Board would want to have a look at that and see whether there are implications for the Central Bank there as well. We have set up an enforcement division, and we want to be more aggressively prosecute wrongdoing. Perhaps the Central Bank could have done a bit more on that front. In parallel with that, to be more persistent and concerted in our efforts to prosecute wrongdoing.
The Central Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has decided to appoint a committee headed by Minister Nima Siripala de Silva regarding the central bank bond scam and to submit a report to the President.
The SLFP Central Committee held discussions with President Maithripala Sirisena last night. Lengthy discussions were held on the central bank bond scam. The members of the committee include Ministers Dr. Sarath Amunugama, Anurup Priyadarshanayapa, WDJ Senviratna, State Ministers Dilan Pereira, Lakshmanyapa Bevardhana and Deputy Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna. The report will not be made lengthy. Thereafter, based on the decision on the report, the President will intercede. We will definitely punish those responsible for this. It doesn't matter if they are not from this government or the previous one. While representing the national government, we will protect the stance of our party. It is clear that something has gone wrong here. We are hoping to work on recovering this money while punishing those responsible.
In other local stories, General Secretary of the United National Party, Minister Kabir Hashim, said today that the COPE report has been directed to the Attorney General for future course of action. Meanwhile, Leader of the House, Minister Lakshmanya Kiryala, said today that the debate on the COPE report will be held following the budget debate.
The COPE report had been directed to the Attorney General's Department by the Parliament yesterday. We have shown so far that the law in this country applies to all equally. We will not be bound to protect anyone over this matter. The legal system of this country has the right to punish anyone who has committed any crime. So as to what legal action will be taken concerning this matter will be taken by the Attorney General's Department or even a higher authority. We stand firm that the law of this country as well as the investigations must be implemented immediately.
Thank you.
We will function as per the advice of the Attorney General. The Prime Minister has instructed us to consult the views of Attorney General on this report, as he is the Chief Prosecuting Officer of the state. This is because the shortcomings of this report has been pointed out by two different sides. So I suppose we would get the Attorney General's instructions on the future course of action. We will take this matter up in Parliament after the budget debate.
Kiryala should be answerable, but he's talking about other things. He says that they will take care of COPE. He says MP Handunyati is biased and that he had mentioned about this treasury bond scam earlier. Why does he say all these things? Because Kiryala knows that the Road Development Authority will be summoned before the COPE very soon. What other reason does he have? Shouldn't we find out about the amount allocated for highway contracts? The company changed, the plan changed a bit, but the loss was 12 billion. So what has happened? The old set of rogues have been replaced by a new set of rogues.
Lakshman Kiryala Mahathya.
Lakshman Kiryala is not a member of COPE. He has not read a single page of the report yet and he is making baseless statements. You should not take much notice of that. He has no understanding about this issue. There are demonstrations against the South Korean president calling for her resignation for a similar incident. The South Korean president has a friend called Choi, while the friend here is Arjuna from Singapore. It has been shown that a theft has been committed. If the Prime Minister has not done any wrong in the face of accusations, he must resign and pave the way for an independent investigation to take place. Beggars are better persons. If Arjuna Mahendran was begging on the streets of Petta, people would donate 50 cents or a rupee out of sympathy. The finger was pointed at the Prime Minister in connection to this. Questions were raised as to whether he was aware of the attempted cover-up. What remains now is simply his coat and tie. His image has been badly affected by this issue. It has been said that Arjuna Mahendran must be held directly accountable over this issue. Some are protecting others. On the other hand, the names of certain media are mentioned in Parliament in a bid to intimidate them. Should such actions be taken against the criminals or the media that expose this crime, the law must be enforced against the criminals. The President must intervene. A special presidential commission must probe this and they must be punished. This is what we ask for.
Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, W.A. Vijayawardena, expressed the following view on Face the Nation last night.
The Sunday Times carried a news story saying that the perpetual treasuries had been buying banks and finance companies. Because the perpetual treasuries cannot do that, because in terms of the central bank regulations, a primary dealer cannot own any banking institution. It can do only trading in the share market as a share broker, but not as a banker. So mainly because it appears that the profits would have been transferred to some subsidiary company which may have purchased all these shares in the market. So because of this reason, it is necessary to find out how the profits have been appropriated, who have got the profit, who have got the beneficial interest, and so forth.
MP Anurukumara Dissanayake, addressing an event this evening, shared these views on fraud committed during the tenure of the previous administration.
What did Namal, Yoshida or Shivanti do in order to gather so much real estate and assets? Members of the UNP appear on various media channels and state that it is very difficult to uncover these assets as they have been hidden around the world in locations like Dubai and Seychelles. They say the Dubai administration is refusing to divulge information even though they visited them on numerous occasions. Don't go to Dubai, go to Hambantota, Mount Lavinia and Gampaha. We have presented reports and paperwork on the assets gathered by them through money defrauding from the public. But has justice been meted out? Have punishments been handed down? Isn't Ranil Wickremesinghe covering up these frauds? I also have to speak about Sagala Ratnayake. His house is being built these days in Deniyaya. I will reveal which company is building this house later. What are they doing? Ranil Wickremesinghe has become the leader of the movement to protect these rogues. These rogues and fraudsters are now receiving the protection of Ranil Wickremesinghe. There are no doubts about the information of real estate that we have provided. The deed numbers, bank account details, dates on which the deeds were registered, as well as the prices that these lands were bought for. All this information is there. We know that they always bought these lands at an undervalued price. The total cost spent on lands in the earlier report I spoke about is 113 million. Where did they get this sort of money? Aren't these people corrupt? Keep in mind that they are corrupt.
A second meeting of the Board of Directors of the Lanka Putra Development Bank took place yesterday under the acting chairman of the board. The main feature of yesterday's meeting was the attendance of a representative of the Auditor General's Department and the presence of a representative of a private audit company. The main intention of the meeting was to review the reports that had been compiled by each of the two entities some time back regarding the fraud that took place at the bank's Vennapur branch. The fraud that took place to show that the branch in question was functioning efficiently is indeed a unique element. The fraud centers around the false recording of deposits aggregating to 51 million rupees by depositors on the 28th, 29th and 30th of December last year. In this backdrop, false records were made to indicate that loans aggregating 45 million rupees had been extended by the Vennapur branch of the Lanka Putra Development Bank. In essence, there had been no actual deposits made or loans extended by the bank. This act, however, had been orchestrated by the bank's former chairman and the senior manager of the bank's internal supervision department. However, only 2 junior female bank officers have thus far been punished for this act of fraud. Despite the Corp Commission having requested a report on this matter, no report has been provided as yet. Even though the reports submitted by the Auditor General's Department and the private audit firm were considered by the Board of Directors who met yesterday, no action has been taken as yet on the individuals who were connected to the incidents. Action TV will reveal to you tomorrow further irregular activities that took place at the Vennapur branch in addition to this fraud.
A 4-member delegation of the European Parliament is currently engaged in a tour of Sri Lanka. Convening a media briefing in Colombo today, the EU parliamentarians stated that the success of Sri Lanka's GSP Plus application is dependent on the tangible progress by Sri Lanka in areas of concern, including the rights of detainees in line with international covenants.
The key message from the Prime Minister's side was we need GSP Plus and we have been doing a lot of efforts. Please make sure that we get GSP Plus. The application was provided from your side, from the side of the Sri Lankan government in July, and it was given for assessment to the European Commission. And there will be an informal indication to the government in November about the trend. But at the very latest, on the 12th of May, there will be a decision taken, either yes or no. But generally speaking, there has been a recognition of the good progress made But as was mentioned by Ms. Jean Lambert, there is still work to be done.
The delegation emphasized the need for the Office of Missing Persons to be set up promptly.
You have to make sure that the public understands that change, which may not still be in front of them at this point, is happening. And so I think this feeling is that there needs to be demonstrable change for people, and then they can trust that other things will happen. Perhaps, for example, if the Office for the Missing and Disappeared is set up very soon and people start to get answers from all communities, then people will trust that change really is happening.
Addressing a media briefing today, Director of the Office of Information Policy of the United States Department of Justice, Melanie Ann Puste, made her recommendations on the Right to Information Act in Sri Lanka.
The challenge of passing a right to information law is huge in and of itself. And I have to say, in reading over your right to information law, it's a really strong law. So you are in a really good place. But now, of course, the challenge is implementing it so that the law is not just nice words on a piece of paper, but that it really does empower the people of Sri Lanka to be better members of their government and of their society. There is going to be a significant culture change in having a right to information law. Your government has been operating for all these years without a right to access government information. When you think about it, a right to access to information is a collaboration between government officials and then groups outside the government, NGOs, media. When you engage with them, you can help implement the law in a more productive way. I think for a country like Sri Lanka, when you're just beginning, your challenge will be to instill confidence in the public that the law works, that they really can get information from their government, and that you are responsive to their request for information.
While flooding was experienced in the Mavanalla area today, the residents of Kurundugolla in Bandarawala continue to be plagued by the drought and the lack of water due to the development activities of the Uma Oya project.
The Kandurugolla village is located to the north of Bandarawala in Kabila area. This is the state of the once fertile land in the village of Kandurugolla.
We used to obtain water from this well for a number of years. However, owing to the Uma Oya project, there is not even a drop of water. Back then, these wells used to have water up to about 12 to 13 feet. However, today, these wells have dried up. We have to now go in search of water.
I always pay to obtain a liter of water for my child. The two of us drink brackish water.
We are wondering what to do now. We don't even have adequate water for our cultivations.
The villages belonging to around 150 families in Kandurugolla are not only threatened by the lack of water.
We constructed this house recently. However, today the house has cracked. This is because of the Uma Oya project. I built this house with great difficulty, even without my husband. However, today it has cracked.
The Uma Oya project has only left behind trails of damaged houses and dried up wells for the villagers of Kandurugolla.
The bicentennial of the establishment of the American Ceylon mission was observed last evening under the auspices of the U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Atul Keshav.
The event was graced by a distinguished gathering, including the clergy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this 200th anniversary celebration serves as a timely reminder to all of us that American missionaries and scientists, American merchants and tourists, American authors and artists are the true architects of our people-to-people ties. I think you will agree with me that our 2 centuries of people-to-people ties are in turn the strong foundation of the enduring relationship between the United States and Sri Lanka. Friends, there is a happy new breeze blowing in Sri Lanka these days, and this is a hopeful time for relations between our two countries. The United States is committed to working closely with the people and government of Sri Lanka to help the people of this ancient land achieve lasting peace and intercommunal harmony based on meaningful reconciliation.
Opener Dimuth Karunaratne scored his 4th Test century as Sri Lanka steadily built their lead over Zimbabwe on day 4 of the first Test at Harare Sports Club on Tuesday.
Karunaratne confirmed his return to form with 110 in Sri Lanka's second innings as the tourists reached 247 for 6 when rain stopped play, with the visitors leading by 411 runs. And that's a wrap of our Prime Time News tonight. I'm Aishwarya Pinto.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.